We're counting down the hours to the new year. Good evening and thank you for joining us an hour earlier than usual. I'm Ashley Graham. We're just a few hours away from the new year, just 2 hours on the dot before we start writing 2023 on all of our papers. Fort Myers police responded to a swatting call at a downtown restaurant this morning. They got a call saying several people were shot at Ford's garage. ABC's Sarah Metz is getting you more on the investigation that even caught the restaurant workers off guard. Staying in Collier County, the curfew isn't going anywhere anytime soon. The sheriff's office tells NBC2 that 46 people have been arrested since Ian for trespassing, robbery, or burglary after the midnight curfew. Nearly all of those arrests, according to the sheriff's office, were out-of-state felons. Your time now is 8:43. One man is grateful to be alive after his pair of four-legged friends stayed by his side after Hurricane Ian until he was able to crawl to freedom. NBC2's Sean Martinelli has more with this story to share. If you travel to Sanibel Island, you'll have to start paying tolls today. The fees were waived throughout the recovery process after Hurricane Ian. Leeway will honor its discount programs for Sanibel residents who had passes prior to the storm. That runs until January 31st. Contractors should visit the Leeway website if you want to get a free transponder. Switching over to the job market, if you or someone you know is looking for a job right now, Waste Pro wants to talk to you. They're holding a hiring event today in Fort Myers, and they're looking to hire for all positions. If you'd like to attend, it'll be on Rickenbacker Parkway from 8 to noon. Just don't forget to bring your resume. The damage is done from Hurricane Ian, but the bills don't stop. Next on NBC2, we'll explain how the city of Cape Coral is trying to lend a helping hand to those who need it. The chief of Upper Captiva Fire Department will step down. Chief Jason Martin, along with 40 of his 46 firefighters, turned in their letters of resignation earlier this month. The chief blames it on a lack of funding. A special critical assessment to keep the department up and running failed on the November ballot. Without it, they'll have to cut costs by 43%. This will make it nearly impossible to keep 4 firefighters on duty around the clock come 2024 when that money dries up. I spent the very few hours of sleep I got last night dreaming about what would I do if I got all that money.
What would you do?
I'm disappearing. I'm just kidding. But no, lots of fun ways to think about it because that's a lot of money. We're going to close it out here. Happy New Year, everyone. Please be safe tonight. Make good decisions. And we will see you back here in 2023. We've seen lots of houses hit, but before we get to that, I want to show you some of the cars that have been hit here. Just take a look at this one right here. We actually spoke to a family who says this is one of their relatives' cars just bought a month ago. So many people love coming to Southwest Florida for our beautiful clear waters. It's one of the biggest attractions in our area. And it turns out we're not the only ones who love it. So do our seagrass. They thrive in clear water that's close to the sunlight. But experts say our water isn't quite clear enough right now. We've been seeing pieces of shingle all throughout this neighborhood coming off of roofs and people's houses, just all over the ground down here. If we want to take you to my left, you'll see lots of crews right here working to try and clear up some of this debris right now. Imagine having just this much of your home, 6 inches in a flood zone, and now you're required to pay costly flood insurance. It's happening right now in Southwest Florida, and many families say they're struggling to figure out how they're going to make this work.
I moved here in 2010.
This Golden Gate Estate house was artist Mary Lundberg's fresh start.
I had just finished cancer treatment, and this was the house. This was the project that I was jumping into to get my life back. Things were just really down. And so I just kind of was like, I'm going to go as far south as I can. As soon as the doctors say you can go, I'm going.
Bit by bit, she worked to make it a home, filling it with her art and her memories. In 2017, Hurricane Irma stopped that progress. Irma ripped through Southwest Florida 5 years ago. Lundberg says a tree fell onto her septic system and it backed up into her house. The storm damaged her roof and windows. Her insurance wouldn't cover the full cost to repair it. FEMA denied her. Then her last hope, Rebuild Florida and their statewide program that they designed to help homeowners just like her with nowhere to turn after a storm.
And the whole time I'm elated, like, I can't believe they're going to help me. This is amazing.
The plan is to tear down her house and build her a new one. She waited and waited and still.
Oh man, 5 years. I'm still waiting.
The holes in her roof remain, but now they're partially covered. With every storm, the damage inside her house keeps getting worse.
But this is my life now. I've got boxes everywhere.
You can see it in the walls and ceiling and on her art. The mold keeps spreading, the cracks keep growing, and Mary keeps waiting for any sign of progress.
You kind of feel like you're the only one, and you feel like you're forgotten. And that's a terrible feeling.
But she's not the only one. For Irma alone, the state awarded more than $430 million to fix and rebuild damaged homes. Hundreds of Southwest Florida homes took on storm after storm over the years with no help from a state program that they're already approved for.
Why is it allowed to continue? Because there are people hurting, and there are a lot of people out there that are hurting.
We took her questions to the Department of Economic Opportunity, and we asked them, why has this taken so long?
I wish I could snap my fingers and make it happen instantaneously.
Deputy Secretary Benjamin Melnick says they are trying.
The focus is obviously getting people back into decent, sanitary, safe homes.
We asked why so many homes still aren't done. Melnick says it takes time to meet federal requirements and to find the right contractors. The department also says they want to be efficient with the money they received from the federal government. As the years pass on, Melnick says they are getting faster.
The further in time that the program has operated, the more effective it's grown.
The septic's not really backing up like it was.
But for Mary and more than 300 other Southwest Florida homeowners, the work still needs to be done. She worries the same thing could happen to hundreds more after this year's hurricanes.
I want better for them. If they roll it out to Ian and to Nicole, I want so much better for them. I don't ever want to see someone sit in 5 years.
You don't want them to go through what you went
No,
through.
absolutely not. It's terrible.
The DEO is asking the federal government for more money, this time for Hurricane Ian. Melnick says that process won't slow down the remaining work for Irma survivors.
The work's not done. There's a lot more to be done, and we're committed to doing it.
It's just more of the same until it actually happens.
The plan for more and upgraded parks started in 2016.
Whether it was recreational, green space, we recognized that as a growing city, we needed more parks.
It came to fruition 2 years later when Cape Coral residents voted on the Go Bonds referendum.
We'd have them all done in 3 years for $60 million, and it would be done.
It would fund 7 new parks and pay for updates to dozens of existing parks. We went around Cape Coral to check them out. There is work happening at some existing parks. And the city did break ground on new ones last year. Of that $60 million, so far the city has spent just over $9 million. They plan to spend another $17 million on approved projects. The biggest chunk of that $60 million would go to the Cape Coral Yacht Club. But now the price tag for all of those parks is going up.
How much more than $60 million are we talking?
Well, we don't know exactly yet until we get all the permitting, but we recognize that it's probably going to be anywhere from the $10 to $15 million more than anticipated.
It's not just money.
When the referendum was initially passed, it was supposed to take about 3 to 5 years to get that work done. Right now we're in about year 4, and as you can see behind me, there has been some work done on the local parks, but the majority of what's yet to be done is still tied up in permits, and right now the city says that timing is kind of out of their hands.
Of course, we have to have the permits in place before we can start construction.
The city did hold public input meetings in 2019 about plans for the 7 neighborhood parks. Critics like Tom Shadrack argue that that process held up progress.
Let's go back and talk to the public, spend another year redesigning, rethinking what does the public really want. They've had some forums. So that took a year out of the schedule, in my view.
Do you feel that that 3-year mark was too optimistic?
I thought the 3-year timeline was probably a little aggressive, but I thought the 5-year was close to being attainable.
Mayor John Gunter says the permit issue is not the only factor.
I think some of the things that we didn't surely plan on as a pandemic, I think that really played in to this process.
Others say the work should have been done long before COVID-19 became an issue.
If they'd have finished everything in 3 years like the plan was, none of that would have been impacted. Today, now it's impacted huge.
We would have been out by 2020.
We would have been done by 21.
City leaders say they're working hard to get the parks done in time. City Council is currently deciding whether to take the Cape Coral Yacht Club out of the Go Bonds package and to use the entire $60 million on the remaining parks. When the permits are approved, they say they'll work quickly to start the remaining work.
We are moving forward. We will get these projects completed in a timely manner.
Reporting in Cape Coral for NBC2, I'm Ashley Graham. Lee Grant was home alone when the storm surge took over outside her door.
The water came up 3.5 feet in about an hour.
Water from the nearby canal quickly flooded outside and inside her home. Grant was in her bedroom, wondering how she'd get herself and her 10-year-old dog to safety.
I heard knock, 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 and I thought, this is it. This is my rescuer.
It was a rescuer, a stranger, and a neighbor. This man, Charlie Tisdale, lives across the road from her.
We got 6 feet of water in about 30 to 45 minutes. I watched it from the second floor.
Grant says the two had never had a conversation, but he still came to help.
Prior to him coming in, were you thinking, I got to get out, or?
Yeah, I was. The water was deep, and I thought about I had to get out before I got trapped. Can you carry my dog? And he said, sure.
No more words needed. He grabbed her dog and helped her to higher ground.
Right across the grass and over here, and I just held his shoulder, and he guided me across, and we walked up those stairs. The water was halfway up those stairs, about 8 steps up in the water, and then we made it.
Grant says everyone on their street who stayed is okay. Today they're cleaning up and looking ahead.
There's no words to explain it. There's not. I'm just glad everybody's safe.
She says when she's ready and able, she wants to help others, especially the man who helped her to safety.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. You were a wonderful vision.
Reporting in Bonita Springs, I'm Ashley Graham.